3HL broadcasting live from Radio Row in Phoenix, presented by Mitsubishi Electric. We appreciate you being with us. Brent Doherty, Don Davenport, and Ron Slay. We've got a special guest, former NFL linebacker Mark Herzlich, joins us now in the broadcast world.
Yes.
How are you enjoying the analyzing college football games?
I love it. I mean, I got to do a game with Dawn this year.
How about that?
It was great. And I being able to figure out, and again, this is just me nerding out a little bit, but being able to figure out what coordinators are trying to do.
Yeah.
Second quarter, third quarter, and you're like, I got it.
Yeah.
And 3-by-1 again. Here comes the backside slant. They're going to see if it's cover 3 or not. And trying to be able to tell that to the viewer, that's what I like. Get much less excited about going back in studio and being like, this coach did the wrong thing or this player, but in games is fun.
So I'm curious, when you see quarterbacks reading defenses like that, how much of a difference is it between these elite guys in the NFL compared with what you see in the ACC?
It's not the same at all.
Yeah, almost not the same sport. Almost.
And I think if you do get a quarterback that's going to read both sides of the field, right? So, a lot of times in college, they'll have, look, we're going to have our play here. So we're going to make it easy and have a half-field read for the quarterback. If he sees man, then, we can have a slant backside. But if not, we're going to have a half-field read. When you do see some of the quarterbacks that are able to do full-field reads, you're like, that's good. That's cool, impressive. I worked with the ACC network, so Sam Hartman, he's going to Notre Dame now, but he was a quarterback at Wake Forest, and he'd been in the system for a long time, right? That's key in college football now. When you're in the system for a while, he had full field reads. And so, they did this slow mesh thing where
I was going to say,
slow
it's a
mesh.
different offense too,
And he had 3 reads during the mesh, right? He reads front side safety, whoever's coming down. Then he gets a chance to read the backside safety and the corner if he's blitzing. So, it was just really cool to see that. And, now progressing to start seeing some of the guys that I've covered go in the NFL and start having some success. And, Trevor Lawrence in the ACC, being able to see him this year and how kind of much better he played and feel more comfortable when he's able to do some of those reads.
Yeah, Titans fans aren't all excited by him feeling more comfortable.
I know.
I want to go back to Hartman just real quick, just because obviously going to Notre Dame, and there's always a lot of talk about Dave Clawson's offense and all of that. How does his game, how will it translate at Notre Dame with different playmakers and all of that?
First of all, I'm excited to see. And I think, one thing about the transfer portal, that the area I see the biggest benefit is for this exact situation. For Sam Hartman, he's in a very niche offensive system at Wake Forest. He could go to the draft, right? But I don't know how high of a demand because he's been in this system. Now, if he goes to Notre Dame and is able to have success in a different system, more of a pro-style system, then you're going to see people be like, oh, this guy is not just a gimmick type quarterback.
Do you think that's why he did it?
I do.
Yeah.
And he's going to get NIL money.
Yeah.
He was not going to be a first rounder, right? So if you're not a first round quarterback, it's difficult to get in there. So you go someplace with a big, marquee name like Notre Dame, and maybe you can get a shot.
Capitalize.
Maybe have some more play. And it's not a knock on Wake Forest, but maybe some more playmakers around you to be able to do a little more too.
Yeah.
Can we talk Drake May, just because? We talk about quarterbacks and the future of it in the NFL and all of that. Drake May, got to see him a couple times at Carolina this year. Obviously young, but he's kind of the name of, Caleb Williams is the name right now. Drake May's the one coming behind him.
Yep. And, the big thing for Drake May is going to be how well do you handle this offseason? And, how many times have we seen I hate these generic terms, but a sophomore slump of hey, you're able to do this amazing thing as a freshman, and then now people are kind of understanding the offense. They're understanding what it's like with you in this offense, and then just the pressure. A lot of these quarterbacks,
there's a lot of it on him.
Like Drake, he could have gone anywhere, right? And right now, he could still go anywhere because of the transfer portal. And he's like, look, I'm going to stay here in this system. His family is all UNC legacy. And
basketball, May.
He's right there.
So you do that again, and now wow, this is a big deal. And we'll see. Josh Downs will will be gone, I believe. Is he? I forget. I think he's gone. But
he's gone.
They'll have to replenish some guys. Yeah.
I want to know, where do you think the ACC lies right now? Because you hear all this movement with the Pac-12 and SEC and all of this. Where do you think the ACC is in all of this movement? Because they've been whispers like Florida State, Miami. Can they get, like, what do you think?
So, in order for the ACC to be solidified as second, no one's going to be SEC.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
Right.
In order for them to be second, Miami and Florida State need to have similar seasons that reflect their recruiting classes.
Right.
That just has to happen.
Yeah.
And there's been too much turnover at Miami to capitalize on any of the recruiting classes. Florida State finally feels like they've got Mike Norvell in a good place to have that team start rolling. And then you'll have Clemson, right? So, if you can have 3 national teams that are solid contenders, that's a big step. And then you'll get a North Carolina that has 2 years where they got their quarterback. You'll have a Wake Forest. But right now, I don't see a dominant Big Ten team, maybe a number 2 or 3 Big Ten team having a really rough time with a 2 or 3 ACC team right now.
Yeah.
That could change, but you just need a little bit more stability.
Mark Herzlich with us on 3HL. Coming out of high school, you played at Boston College, for those that don't know. Did I read that you thought about Vanderbilt a little bit?
Yes, yeah.
What was it about Vanderbilt and Nashville?
Well, first of all, I thought Nashville was a really cool place. And, Vandy, I was my kind of I wanted to go to the best academic school with the best football. So, the list of schools were UVA, Boston College, Harvard, Stanford, Vanderbilt. The schools that can blend that together. I went to Vanderbilt's camp, and it was way too hot, honestly.
Yeah, you picked the wrong kind of
they gotta switch it up for I was this is hot.
Northeast guys need to come a different day. Yeah.
But no, I liked the school. It was hot there, so I decided to go to the coldest place, Boston. But no, and it's funny. So the last game before I had to sit out a year for my cancer treatments was against Vanderbilt in the Music City Bowl.
Wow.
Which was
that's right.
So it was so crazy cool. So that we were there for that. So
I actually did that game on the radio.
Did you?
Yeah, that was a heck of a game.
Yeah. That was wild.
You mentioned your cancer treatment. So you were crushing it at Boston College. If I remember right, you could have come out early and maybe been a top 10 pick.
Yep.
Why did you decide to stay?
Well, I decided to stay. I kept thinking to myself, look, the reason I went to school, I wanted to choose a school based on the academics and the athletics. Now, am I going to leave school before I finish that academic side? So, that was important to me at the time. That also paired with the fact that if I came out as a junior, I would have been in that same draft class with Ray Maluga, Brian Cushing, Aaron Curry, a bunch of these guys who were, again, right up there in terms of really high-quality linebackers. So I had the ability as a junior to stay another year and come back, and then all those guys clear out, and then I'm top dog. So that was a part of it. And, it's weird how you look back and, certain things become divine intervention where I made that decision to come back as I had, some pain in my leg. And had no idea it was cancer at the time, but I come back to BC, over that summer, figure out that I do have bone cancer.
How did you find out?
Yeah.
Found out, so I came back, winter break, I was at home and started feeling some pain in my leg, and then went back and this pain just kept coming and coming, and didn't know what it was. 6 months later, was able to got the right MRIs done and everything, and then the tumor showed up, and it was basically my entire left femur was surrounded in tumor, and they told me I had about a 10% chance of survival, would never be able to walk again. and
10% chance of survival.
Wow. Yep. And the it had not spread to other places in my body, and so it became a treatment process that we got through and is able to come back and finally play through a lot of tough things. But it showed me a lot about like some of the other stuff that's important outside of football and how football can be a cool platform for a lot of other things. And that's kind of what I'm doing now outside of it is not cancer related, but working to kind of help some of the injustices around the world. And so this organization I work for now, International Justice Mission, is the #1 anti-human trafficking and bonded labor slavery organization in the world. So it's an NGO that I run the athlete partnership. So we have about 60 to 70 pro athlete families that are partners. And so anywhere from donating to raising money to, in June, I'm taking a trip to Ghana with about 6 or 7 families and seeing some of the work firsthand. And so it's that cancer process, like what gave me kind of a insight into, there's some things bigger than football out there. And my entire NFL career, there was always this pull internally, hey, when I'm done with the football, how could I use that platform for something else? And that's where we have landed.
When you were diagnosed, I know that it was Ewing sarcoma, which I know a little bit about, and their recommended treatment was basically take your bone out, replace it, and there you go. You would never possibly walk and never play again, of course. And you said no. Right.
Yeah. So that was kind of the safe route. It's a very rare cancer, right? So like 1 in a million people get this type of cancer. So the treatment's like, hey, are you going to do what usually is done? And I said, look, I want to do something else. So I chose to do radiation instead of resection of the bone. And it, I was very blessed to have it work out for me. But it was a decision that I had to make because it was so rare. It was like, hey, do you want to do what everybody usually does and take that tumor out to make sure it's gone?
Right. Wow.
Or do you want to choose? And I'm not going to choose how I'm going to die, right? If this goes bad, that's not the decision I want to make. I want to make sure I make the decision based on how I want to live the rest of my life. So if it goes well, assuming things go well, what would be the best chance of living that life I want to live? And that was through the treatment process I chose.
Wow.
What a mental process.
That's exactly, mental process.
And I was 21, right? 21 years old.
Spot on,
my
dude.
goodness. Yeah. Well, and then it works out, and grace of God, and you go win a Super Bowl.
Yes.
How about that? Like, that's amazing.
Like within 2 years of that diagnosis, come back out and we're in Indianapolis on Radio Row getting ready for the Super Bowl. It's so like just insane. And, God works in really, really interesting ways, and I felt like, I've been placed in the right spot.
Did you think for 1 second, man, I ain't thinking about no football. I just want to get back healthy to be able to live the life that I want to live away from football? Or did football help drive that, though?
Football helped drive it.
Okay.
Now, my mom didn't want to think about football at all, right?
Right.
But like but I felt like, and probably unhealthily, my identity was wrapped up in football at the time, right? So like there was a lot of growth as a man through that process where I'm not just a football player, but at the same time playing football again symbolized to me that this didn't take away my life. And so the goal always was, I prayed every morning, every night, I'll be healthy again and I get to play football again. Just because of that football symbolized a full return.
Mark Herzlich with us on 3HL. Mark, fascinating stuff, man.
Most definitely.
It's so good to see you, brother, and glad you're doing well.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, more 3HL coming up.